It was called the problem with no name. In the 1950s, America was at its peak. Economy booming, suburbs expanding, and husbands providing at the highest level in history. But behind closed doors, wives were checking out, emotionally shutting down and feeling invisible inside marriages that looked perfect from the outside. It led to one of the biggest spikes in divorce rates the country had ever seen. Back then, nobody could explain it. Nobody had a name for it. But after 12 years in psychology, I can tell you, it's still going on, and I call it the provider's paradox. The more you do for your wife, the more she pulls away. In this lecture, I'm going to discuss the psychology of why your wife wants a divorce, what's actually going on inside her mind when she checks out, and the 3 steps that you can do today to reverse it. So grab a pen and paper, because what I'm about to teach you in this lecture is something that you have never heard before. It's something that I've learned from sitting across hundreds of husbands in your exact situation and working with both men and women on the other side of it. It's not something that you will learn from marriage therapists or counselors or those marriage coaches who tell you to read a book about masculinity and hold frame and set boundaries, give her space or write letters. Most of them genuinely want to help, but they are not trained in human psychology. They are not trained in female emotional responses. They are working off scripts and personal experiences, not science, and you're paying for it. Thousands of dollars on therapy, coaching, courses, all of it accelerating the very thing that you are trying to prevent. And look, I'm not saying coaches are useless. Some of them are great at what they do. They will teach you how to be a better man, how to set boundaries, how to lead. That's self-development, and that's fine. But becoming a better man doesn't mean that she comes back. Those are 2 completely different things. I've seen husbands, actually, who lost 50 pounds, started meditating, journaling every day, doing breathing exercises and going to therapy. They became the best version of themselves that they had ever been. And their wife still looked at them like nothing changed, because in her mind, nothing did. The truth is, getting your wife back is simple, but I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. And in fact, I'll be the first to tell you that this strategy won't work for everyone. If you're not the primary provider in your household, if the financial foundation isn't there, this won't apply to you. And that's because of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But we'll get into that later. Anyone who tells you that it's easy is lying to you. But it is simple. And let me show you what that looks like when it actually works. I had a client, Rudy. When he came to me, his wife had already moved 3 hours away with the kids. She was talking to another man, hadn't kissed him in 5 months, wouldn't let him touch her. He asked for a hug one day, and she walked right past him. This marriage was done by every measure you can think of, and Rudy was making it worse every day, chasing her, pushing for answers, bringing up the other man, and turning every single interaction into some kind of test. The more he pushed, the more she pulled away. So we worked together and basically reversed every instinct that he had. And within a few weeks, his wife kissed him first, like actually pulled him in and held his head. And she had to go splash cold water on her face afterwards. She told him that she hadn't been that turned on in longer than she could remember. And this is the same woman who 5 months ago wouldn't let him near her. The same woman who moved away with the kids and was talking to someone else. So what changed? He stopped chasing. That's it. He stopped pushing, stopped testing, stopped making every moment about where the marriage stood. He just showed up differently. And she came back on her own. And Rudy is not the only one. I had this client, Robert. His wife told him that she was only staying until the kids turned 18. That was her plan. Wait it out and leave. After working together, they are laughing again, talking again. The intimacy came back naturally. And when they argue now, they recover fast and feel closer afterwards. Kevin, his wife was angry all the time, distant. Every small thing turned into a fight. She wanted a divorce. After the method, they are now very close, intimate, warm. She actually apologized to him for how she treated him. Jody rated his marriage a 3 out of 10. His wife was distant, uninterested, and checked out. Today, he rates it a 9. Different men, different situations, but same method and same results. My name is Clement. I'm a psychologist with 12 years of experience, ranked first in my year and selected into one of the most prestigious psychology programs in France. 20 accepted from over 1,000 applicants. I have over 8,000 hours of one-on-one coaching helping husbands save marriages that everyone else gave up on. And now I'm going to break down the exact psychology behind why your wife checked out and what actually brings her back. But I need to be upfront. What I teach you here will give you the understanding. It won't give you the execution. Every wife is different. Every situation needs a different strategy. So if you want one built for your situation, the link is below. But first, let's talk about the provider's paradox in detail and why it is killing your marriage. This here is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It was made famous by Abraham Maslow, one of the most influential psychologists in modern history. This framework has been used for over 80 years across psychology, business, education, and even the military. Anywhere that you need to understand what drives human behavior at the most fundamental level, this has been used. At the base, you've got the basics, which are food, water, shelter, or survival. Above that, safety, physical security, financial stability, resources, income, a roof over your family's head. Now, as a provider, this is your domain. You're paying the mortgage, you're covering the bills, you're solving the problems, you're handling the logistics. That's what we do as men. That's our love language. We show love by making sure that everything is taken care of. And that's great. Her first two needs, physical safety and financial security, you've got those handled. But once those needs are met, something shifts. Her focus moves up the pyramid. It becomes less about what you provide and more about how she feels. Her needs turn completely psychological. It's no longer about the house, the bills, the stability. It's about connection, presence, feeling like she matters to the person next to her. And right now you're probably thinking, well, why? I've done everything for her. I've given her the house, the lifestyle, the security. Why isn't that enough? And I get it. From where you're standing, you've done everything right. But you can't blame her for this because this isn't a choice that she's making. This is pure psychology at work. This is how the human brain is wired. Once survival is handled, the mind automatically starts looking for something deeper. She's not being ungrateful, she's not moving the goalposts. Her brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's not her fault. And quite frankly, it's not yours either. Because when you are, all your energy into providing, the problem solving, the fixing, the earning, it doesn't leave much room for anything else. You come home and you're depleted. You've given everything to the job, to the bills, to keeping the machine running. And the emotional side, like the conversation, the presence, the noticing her, it doesn't get neglected on purpose. It gets neglected by default because there's only so much energy in a day. And when all of it goes into the bottom of the pyramid, the top starves. Nobody taught you this. Your father didn't teach you this because his father didn't teach him. And school didn't teach you this. Society taught you one thing: be a man, provide, protect, handle your business, be strong, don't be emotional. And you did all that. You did exactly what you were taught to do. But what you were taught to do only covers half the pyramid. That's where the provider paradox lives. Doing things for her and connecting with her are two completely separate things. And when you are spending all your energy on one, the other declines, naturally, gradually, without anyone noticing. You start as her partner, her lover, her friend, her companion, all of it, and then kids come, responsibilities grow, and one by one those roles quietly fall away until you become the man who handles everything except her. In your language, actions are love. In her language, actions without presence are just tasks. That's where we start hearing things like, I'm not in love with you anymore, or we've drifted apart, I feel disconnected, I feel like we're just roommates. But here's what those words actually mean. When she says, I want a divorce, when she says, I'm not in love with you anymore, when she says, I'm done, when she's talking to another man, when she's cold and won't let you near her, as much as those things hurt, They are not what they look like. They are not decisions, they are survival responses. Her brain has been running on an empty emotional bank account for so long that it stopped treating the situation as a relationship problem. It started treating it as a threat. And once that switch flips, she can't think straight, can't access the good memories, can't feel the love that's still there. All she can do is react. And every reaction is aimed at one thing: feeling emotionally safe again. She doesn't want to divorce you. She doesn't want to replace you. She doesn't want to blow up the family. She just feels emotionally unsafe. And her brain is trying to fix it in the only way that it knows how, which is through distance, through anger, through another man, through divorce papers. All of it is the same thing actually. Her nervous system looking for safety. And this isn't just a theory. We have the science on this. A British psychiatrist named John Bowlby spent decades studying what happens when emotional bonds between partners break down. He showed that when a woman feels emotionally disconnected from her husband over a long enough period, her brain treats it as a physical threat. The same stress hormones that release during physical danger, which are cortisol and adrenaline, they release when she feels emotionally unsafe with you. Same neural pathways, same fight-or-flight response. Her brain cannot tell the difference between "my husband doesn't hear me" and "I'm in danger." And we can see this on a brain scan. In 2006, a neuroscientist named Dr. James Caan at the University of Virginia put married women inside an fMRI machine and told them that they were about to get a mild electric shock. Then he had each woman hold her husband's hand and measured what happened in the brain. And for women in emotionally connected marriages, the threat response dropped. His touch calmed her down. Her brain registered him as safe. Women in emotionally disconnected marriages, nothing. Holding her husband's hand did the same thing as holding a stranger's hand. Husband, ring, house, bed. On a brain scan, her nervous system treated him like someone she'd never met. That's the provider paradox. Measured on a scan. And you are right there. You are providing everything, and her brain has stopped recognizing you as safe. Now here's what that means for you. Let's say your wife has this sweater that she loves. She wears it everywhere. You hate it. You want it gone. Do you tell her to take it off? Do you argue about it? Do you rip it off her? No. You do one thing. You turn up the heat. And when the room gets warm enough, she takes it off on her own. The same psychology that worked against you right now can be reversed. Her brain shut you out because of what it was experiencing. Withdrawal after withdrawal. Disconnection after disconnection. Her nervous system collected that data over years and concluded he is not safe. Think of it like a bank account. Every interaction between you and your wife is either a deposit or a withdrawal. When she talks and you actually listen, it's a deposit. When she talks and you dismiss it or look at your phone, it's a withdrawal. When you walk into the room and she can feel you're present, deposit. When you walk in and go straight past her, withdrawal. These are small moments, daily, invisible. But her nervous system is tracking every single one. And over years, the withdrawal outpaced the deposits. The account went negative. And once it's overdrawn, her brain stops registering you as safe. But her brain doesn't hold permanent opinions. It updates based on new data. It's always reading the current environment and adjusting, which means that the same mechanisms that made her check out is the same mechanism that brings her back. You refill that account through what I call magnet moments. Small specific interactions that register as emotional deposits to her nervous system. Not grand gestures, not big conversations, not flowers or apologies. Moments where she feels heard without you trying to fix anything. Moments where you're present without an agenda. Moments where how you respond to her coldness isn't reactive, but calm and grounded. These moments are magnetic. They pull her back without her knowing why. She can't explain it. She just notices something feels different. That being around you doesn't feel the same. One magnet moment doesn't change anything, but stack enough of them, day after day, and the account starts to fill. The temperature rises. Her brain updates. The survival response that she had backs off, and she takes the sweater off on her own. So how exactly do you create those magnet moments? It comes down to 3 rules that exist in every marriage, and most providers have lost at least 2 of them without realizing it. After working with hundreds of couples, I can tell you that while every marriage that's falling apart looks different on the surface, like different problems, different stories, when you zoom out, it's always the same 3 things that are missing: the leader, the lover, and the friend. When all 3 are active, the marriage works. When even one goes quiet, cracks start forming. And when 2 or 3 disappear, that's when you hear, "I'm done." So let's walk through each one. Number 1, the leader. When I say leader, I don't mean boss. I don't mean alpha. I don't mean control. I mean direction, stability, trust. And trust is the one that most husbands get wrong, because they think that trust is rebuilt through apologies, but it's not. Most husbands come to me keeping score. Like, I did this, but she did that. And I tell them all the same thing. Drop the scorecard. Take full ownership. Not because it's all your fault, it's not, obviously, but because as long as you're splitting blame, you are anchored to the same spot. Nothing moves. And the first thing that has to go is the apologizing. I know that sounds a bit backwards, but you think apologizing rebuilds trust, but actually it doesn't. Not anymore, because she's heard "I'm sorry" and "I'll change" too many times. Those words used to mean something, but now they're just noise to her nervous system. Trust isn't rebuilt through words, it's rebuilt through pattern change. So when you take ownership and actually shift your behavior without announcing it, without pointing it out, without asking for credit, something happens. She notices. Not what you said, but what you did. And more importantly, what you stopped doing. You stopped defending, you stopped keeping score, you stopped apologizing, and started actually being different. That's when trust starts to rebuild. Not because you promised to change, but because she can see it, she can feel it, and she didn't have to ask for it. That's a magnet moment. Your energy stops demanding something from her and starts inviting. The pressure lifts, and that's when she begins to soften. Not because you won the argument, but because you stopped having it. Now here's another example of leadership that sounds counterintuitive. Strategic absence. Most husbands in this situation are doing the opposite. They are chasing, texting too much, over-explaining at 2 a.m., sending long messages trying to prove how reasonable they are, following her around the house, trying to be present every second, hoping that she'll notice. But carrying too loudly is what got you here. I had a client, Thomas. His wife told him that she thinks he should leave for a while. And he panicked. He wanted to fight for her right then and there. But I told him, don't. Not tonight. Go get a room. Text her once. I hear you. I'll give you the space you need. Then stop. And he hated it at first. He kept saying, but won't she think I don't care? Day 3, he felt like he was dying. Day 5, she texted about the dog. Day 7, she said, it's so quiet without you. That's what strategic absence does. Missing you becomes her idea, not your campaign. Think of it like a guitar string. Too tight and it snaps. Too loose and there's no sound. You want the hum, connected but with room to breathe. And this isn't about vanishing, it's not about no contact. It's not punishment. It's knowing when to pull back from a place of strength, not defeat. When my client Thomas went back after 10 days, he didn't walk in with a speech. He said hello, hugged the dog, made coffee, and his wife silently spent more time next to him that evening. That's a magnet moment. His absence, because it was done from a place of groundedness, became more powerful than his presence was when he was chasing. Strategic absence says one thing: I care enough to stop doing the thing that kept hurting us. And that's leadership. Now rule number 2, the lover. This is the one that surprises people because they think it's about sex, but it's not yet. The lover role is about energy, curiosity, surprise, being someone that she can't fully predict. Here's what happens in most marriages. You become predictable. Same routine, same responses, same energy every day. She knows exactly what you're going to say before you say it. She knows how you react to everything. And predictability kills attraction. Not because stability is bad, but because the brain stops paying attention to things that it can predict. When you first met, she couldn't predict you. Everything was new. Every conversation was a discovery. Her brain was engaged because it was receiving new information constantly. That's what attraction actually is. New information. So when another man shows up and she starts paying attention, It's not because he's better than you. He's not smarter, he's not more attractive, he's just new. Her brain is receiving information that it can't predict, and that registers as interesting. You don't compete with that by trying harder at the same thing that you've been doing. You compete by becoming unpredictable again. I had a client who started doing small things that surprised his wife. Nothing dramatic. He dressed the way that he used to when they first met. He played music while cooking again. He was silly with the kids. He laughed more. Just brought more life into the house. And his wife noticed. Not because he announced it, but because the energy in the room shifted. That's the gravitational pull. You're not chasing her. You're not pursuing. You're becoming someone worth being curious about again. And she feels pulled towards you without knowing why. Now, when it comes to the bedroom, most men try to get intimacy back by initiating, like touching, reaching for her. And every time they do, she tenses up because it doesn't feel like connection to her. It feels like a test. The emotional trigger that brings intimacy back is not physical. It is safety. I had a client, Patrick. He said, she doesn't even flinch when I hug her anymore. It's like touching a mannequin. And I told him, that's not rejection, that's armor, and you built it together. Now you are the one who can start melting it. But you don't melt armor by pulling at it. You melt it by warming the room. So stop aiming for firework. Start with the smallest form of connection possible. Warmth without demand. A smile when you walk past. A squeeze on the shoulder that doesn't lead anywhere. A text that doesn't ask for anything. My client Patrick started doing something simple. He'd walk by his wife while she was cooking, tasted the sauce and says, "It tastes great," and walked out. That's it. No big talk, no expectation, no lingering. A week later, she laughed when he did it again. No sex yet, just play. And play is the bridge to intimacy. Her nervous system is constantly scanning one question. Do I feel better or worse when he walks into the room? When the answer starts shifting from worse to better, desire follows on its own. You don't chase it, you don't force it, you create the conditions. The frozen ground starts melting and the spark that was buried under all that tension comes back to the surface. That's a magnet moment. Not seduction and not pursuit, just safety and aliveness in the same room, and her body remembers what it's like to want you again. Now number 3, the friend. This is the one that most men miss entirely, and is the one that matters the most. I've had husbands say to me things like, I gave her everything, I did everything for her, and I always tell them the same thing. You worked for her, but you stopped being there with her. The friend role is the quiet glue. It's the laughter, the inside jokes, the small check-ins during the day, the feeling that someone actually knows you and wants to know more. When this role disappears, it doesn't make a sound, no fight, no dramatic moment. It just slowly drains away until you're living with someone that you used to know. And when there is a gap in the friend role, someone else fills it, always. A coworker who listens, a friend who remembers small things, or a stranger online who asked about her day. It always starts innocent, just someone who pays attention, but that's all it takes, because emotional connection beats everything. Logic, history, loyalty, none of it competes with someone who makes her feel heard right now. That's why when someone cheats, they always say, I don't know how it happened. But it didn't happen, it grew. You left a gap and someone stepped into it. So if she's talking to another man right now, here's what you need to understand. You don't bring her home by confronting him. You don't bring her home by fighting about it. You don't bring her home by giving her ultimatums. You bring her home by refilling the gap. Because he's not here because he's better. He's here because the friend account with you is empty and he's making deposits. That's the entire explanation. So stop focusing on him. Start focusing on the account. And here is how you do that. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and her whole body tightens before a single word is said? That's conditioning. Her brain has learned that you equal tension. So your job is to give her brain new data. Every time she expects an argument, give her silence. Every time she expects sarcasm, give her a nod. Every time she expects you to defend yourself, say, you might be right. Magnet moments that tell her brain that this is not the same pattern. Neuroscientists call this memory reconsolidation. Old emotional memories get updated when the same cue is followed by a new, non-threatening experience. You don't erase the past, you overwrite it. I had a client, Robert. Every conversation with his wife ended in a fight. The air between them already carried static before anyone spoke. Her body heard his footstep and she was already bracing. I told him, for now, don't try to fix anything. Your job is to surprise her nervous system. He started small, came home one evening and just cooked dinner. Quiet, no commentary, no podcast, no TV. She walked in expecting tension and smelled dinner instead. And he said, there's food if you're hungry. And they ate mostly in silence, but that silence wasn't empty. It was new information. Her brain registered it under him equals ease. And by the third week, she said, I don't know what's different, but it's quieter around you lately. And that sentence was everything. Her nervous system was beginning to associate him with peace instead of battle. That's non-physical intimacy. And 10 minutes a day of it is worth more than the $500 dinner where you spend the whole night on your phone. When you practice this consistently, fights drop. Not because you're avoiding conflicts, but because most fights aren't really about the subject that's being discussed. They're about the friend role being empty. She's not fighting about the dishes. She's fighting because she feels alone, and the dishes were the nearest thing that she could throw at you. So feel the friend role and the fights will lose their fuel. So there it is. 3 roles: leader, lover, friend. The leader provides direction and trust through ownership and knowing when to step back. The lover provides attraction and curiosity through energy and unpredictability. And the friend provides connection and safety through presence without agenda. Most providers have been running on one role for years, which is the leader, the provider, the guy who keeps everything running. The other 2 roles went quiet a long time ago, and that silence is what she has been hearing every single day. Magnet moments live inside all 3 roles. Stack enough of them, day after day, and the temperature in the room changes. Her brain recalibrates. The survival response backs off, and the sweater starts to come off on its own. Now, before we wrap it up, let me give you 3 things that you can start doing today, not next week. Not after you've thought about it. Today. These aren't complicated, they are not big moves. But if you do all 3 consistently, the vibe between you and your wife will start to shift. And she'll feel it before she can explain it. Step 1. Be calm. This is the foundation. Nothing else works without it. No more panic texts at 2 a.m. No more long emotional speeches. No more grand gestures trying to prove your love. No more cornering her for answers about where the marriage stands. When you pressure a woman whose nervous system is already in survival mode, you don't get honest answers. You get whatever stops the pressure the fastest. I'm done. I don't love you. I want a divorce. Those aren't decisions. Those are her brain trying to end the overwhelm. Every time you chase, every time you push, every time you get desperate, you are confirming to her nervous system that you are not safe. You are adding to the alarm, not quieting it. So stop. Be still. Be calm. Not cold, not distant. Calm. When she says something that makes your stomach drop, breathe before you respond. When every instinct in your body is screaming at you to fight for her right now, don't. Not like that, at least. Calm is the first magnet moment, because a man who is grounded when everything is falling apart is a man her nervous system starts to register differently, not as a threat, as someone who might actually be safe again. Step 2, take ownership. Drop the scorecard, today, right now. Stop keeping track of what she did wrong. Stop building your case for why this isn't all your fault. Stop waiting for her to acknowledge her part before you work on yours. Take 100% ownership, not because it's all your fault, but because as long as you're splitting blame, nothing moves. Here's what this looks like in practice. Tonight, think about the last argument that you had and write down 3 sentences describing it entirely from her point of view. Even if you disagree, even if you think that it's unfair, write it so convincingly that if she would read it, she would say, yes, that's exactly how I felt. When you can't do that, you've done something that most husbands never do. You've stepped into her world long enough to actually see it. And that changes you. Not because she asked you to, but because you chose to. That's ownership. And she'll feel the shift even if you never say a word about it. Step 3. Be curious. Stop talking about the relationship. Stop trying to fix things. Stop bringing up what's wrong. Instead, get curious about her, like you used to be, like you were when you first met and you actually wanted to know what she thought about things. Ask her something you haven't asked in years. Not about the kids, not about the schedule, not about the marriage, about her. Like, what's been on your mind lately? Or what song have you been listening to? Or what's stressing you out? These aren't therapy questions. These are friend questions. They say one thing: I still want to know you. And here's the key. When she answers, just listen. Don't fix it. Don't respond with your opinion. Don't redirect to yourself. Just hear her. 10 minutes. That's all it takes. 10 minutes of genuine curiosity without an agenda. That's non-physical intimacy, and it fills the friend bank account faster than anything else you can do. That's it. 3 things. Be calm, take ownership, be curious. No big moves, no dramatic changes, no scripts to memorize. Just 3 shifts in how you show up starting today. Do these consistently and the temperature in the room begins to change. She won't know why, she'll just feel something is different. Now look, I just gave you a lot. The provider paradox, the 3 roles, magnet moments, the survival response, the sweater, the bank account, 3 steps that you can start doing today. And some of you will take this and run with it on your own. And if that's you, go do it. But here's what I've learned after 12 years. The information isn't the hard part. The execution is. Knowing that you should be calm is one thing. Being calm at 9 p.m. when she just dropped a bomb is another. The principles are universal, but the application is personal. Every wife is different. Every situation has details that change the approach. And if there is one thing that separates the men who save their marriages from the men who don't, it's having someone besides them in real time, keeping them on track, telling them exactly what to do before they do the wrong thing. That's what coaching and accountability are for. You wouldn't train for a competition without a coach. You wouldn't navigate a legal battle without a lawyer. You'd get someone who's done it before, who knows the terrain, who can see what you can't see. So why would you try to figure out the most important thing in your life on your own? Your family, your wife, your kids, everything you've built, and you're going to just wing it? So here's what I would like to offer you. I work with husbands one-on-one through a process that I call emotional rewiring, where I personally guide you day by day on exactly what to say, how to show up, and how to shift what she experiences when she's around you. And I'm the only one who works with clients one-on-one. No group coaching, no video course. I'm talking about us working together every single day. Yes, every single day. Because you'll have access to me directly, and we'll make sure that every single interaction is a step in the right direction. It doesn't matter how far gone it looks. It doesn't matter if she's filed for divorce. It doesn't matter if there is another man. This isn't limited by how bad things are right now. The only limit is how long you wait and how consistent you are willing to be. And the question is, how much does a divorce cost? How much do you lose? How many years do you spend rebuilding from nothing? This, in the grand scheme of things, like if you commit to this for a few months, not only does she come back, she comes back warmer, more open, more connected than she's been in years. The wall comes down, the intimacy returns, your family stays whole, and you never have to wonder what would have happened if you'd actually tried. Now, what I taught you today is the overall strategy, but every situation has details that change the approach. I don't work with everyone. I take on a limited number of men at a time because this only works when it's personalized. If you want to see if you're a fit, click the link below and apply for a spot. If you qualify, my team will reach out to schedule a strategy call where we map out your specific situation and show you exactly what the first 30 days look like. The window she's giving you right now won't stay open forever.